Microsoft this week introduced MAI, which is a diagnostic orchestrator, and they're calling it MAI-DxO for short. The new AI system is claiming to outperform experienced doctors by a massive margin on some of the toughest medical cases out there. Microsoft is even calling it a step towards medical superintelligence.
Medical superintelligence is a fascinating phrase. What does that mean? How does this thing work? What does it do?
Okay, so it's basically a virtual medical team made up of specialized AI agents. So think about it like if you had some sort of disease or issue you were working towards, and you might have 10 different care providers on your care team. This is sort of similar to how MAI-DxO works, where each AI takes on a different role. And some are focusing on generating sort of hypotheses about the diagnosis. Others are choosing which tests they're going to order. Some are monitoring for costs, this type of thing. And each part is working sort of in collaborative with the rest of the AI team. And it's basically just like a large super team of AI experts working on your problem.
That's a really interesting approach. We've seen it a couple of times in different scenarios. Does having multiple agents, is this a thing that's helping? Is it like producing better results?
Well, according to Microsoft, yes. And the answer is not just yes, but resounding massive yes. So to test how well it worked, they created a new benchmark called SD Bench, which is built of 304 real world, highly difficult cases. And when MAI-DxO was paired with OpenAI's O3 model, the combo achieved a staggering 85.5% accuracy on the cases compared to human teams with, 5 to 20 years of practice on average. They achieved about a 20% test score on those. So the AI team, 85%, human team, 20%. So that is a pretty remarkable improvement there. Obviously, the AIs have some advantages. They have faster information retrieval than a human, right? They're not distracted by biases or this type of stuff. They can really just like look at the problem at hand. And so pretty compelling outcome there.
That's pretty cool. I did see when I was reading the details of this that they like didn't give the doctors access to reference materials in the internet, which felt a little
That's not
a
fair.
little unfair. So I always find when there's these stunning results and benchmarks, there's like a little gaming of how those things are done. Still an impressive result, I think, overall, and an impressive system. One of the things I wonder about though with these multiple agents is like you just layering costs on top of. I mean, there's a reason we don't have 10 doctors looking at every case. It's not ever. This feels like it was designed for House. Like there's going to be a MAI-DxO House episode where we put House against who's got all the hardest cases and the weird tests he has to order and the whatever bizarre things. And that's what he's really good at, right? It feels like it's designed for that. But having a team of 10 doctors is expensive. How does this thing compare on cost? Is this just driving the cost up to diagnose?
I mean, allegedly it's driving the cost down, or that's at least the hope. So the AI team delivered diagnoses at a lower cost, about $2,397 spent per case versus $2,963 per case when done so by the doctors. So it's not only sort of outperforming on complexity, but also, ideally doing it more efficiently and faster as well. So it's an impressive result. It's sort of a glimpse into what modern AI driven healthcare might look like when it's sort of really operating at scale. And Microsoft is really positioning this as a milestone on the path to medical superintelligence, as we said. And based on those numbers, I think the path is looking a lot more plausible than it was just a short time ago.
We included this in this week's episode because I think this was fascinating to me on three levels. And I think are really practical to the audience. So there's first this kind of, I think a lot of people think of AI and it's just like, oh, I sprinkle AI at it. But the idea that they had multiple agents playing different roles, interacting with one another is a really interesting development. It's kind of funny because you go, oh, we got a super intelligence. Why should I need 10 of them to do a thing? But it turns out that playing different roles, playing off of one another, asking one to be a writer and then an editor, it really does change the outcome. And I think that's something we'll see be true in a lot of business deployment contexts as well, where you want multiple agents interacting, playing different functions. So I thought that was a really interesting part of this. The second, we didn't talk about this in great depth, but at every step in the process, the MAI-DxO can either offer a diagnosis or ask for a test to get further data. So it's got this kind of like, do you know the answer yet? Or is there something you'd like to do before you make a determination? And that ability to kind of iterate until you feel confident in the answer and give the system the ability to ask for further data or whatever. That's a really interesting architectural approach, I thought, that again has a lot of practical implications as you're building things. Like you may not be ready to make a decision. What other information might you need? Those kinds of things where you don't just go, here's the problem, give me the answer, but you allow it to maybe seek and find answers or ask for more information. Also really interesting.
Yeah. The other thing I think I wonder about this is kind of critically on these cases, these are all solved cases. Like the answer was known. And so being able to sort of judge at the end how well the AI operated versus the humans was easy because you sort of knew how the game played out. And if you're in a real world unsure situation and you are the, patient and you get asked, do you want to use this AI tool or the human tool? What are you going to choose and who are you going to trust right on when it's not a solved problem, and who makes those decisions? I just think there's like a lot of implications about that's going to be important to figure out for the future of healthcare if we really want to use AI more, because that is not totally clear to me that people want to outsource their medical decisions to an AI yet.
I think I mean, what I would want today is like my doctor to have this,
Yes, yeah.
right? And to be looking at the answers and go, "Hey, I hadn't thought of that. What's the rationale?" Whatever. It's going to explain its reasoning to you. And I think that's really powerful because you do see. I mean, I would joke about a show like House, but it's definitely true that there are some doctors who are really good at the common stuff. But then when you get to something unusual, unexpected, the quality of diagnostic capabilities varies a lot, physician to
Mhm.
physician. So providing this kind of capability to every doctor to help them understand like what are the options here is, I think, really powerful. But I certainly, you can get into a very bad place when you go, hey, just do whatever the AI says and just let it keep running the whole show. Because as soon as it gets a little bit off, it can veer off course. And I think that the human in the loop as a guardrail is going to be, at least for the foreseeable future, an important part of that. But I'd love to have a team of 10 AI agents helping my doctor figure out the rest. Particularly if I had something that was hard to figure out, I go, yeah, let's bring the AIs in and give you guys this. I mean, talk about a second pair of eyes. You got 20 extra pairs of eyes on that.
Yeah, totally agreed. You want a team of AIs you can totally trust and a care provider that you can totally trust, and then you want them working together. That's the ideal outcome, and hopefully that's a future we can work towards.
I also think, again, practical for the audience, the the skill that doctors will need will move from having memorized the physician's desk reference and knowing the latest protocols of care to the ability to manage and work with the patient and leverage those tools. And so, in any industry, I think these kinds of capabilities are coming, but the likely, at least medium term future, is people using them to provide value. And so, if you're in your career going, how do I become the person who's really good at leveraging a tool like this? Because then I can become a highest performer in my field. I think that's a real opportunity and a skill set we're going to have to teach people. The other thing I thought interesting this was they put one of the agents in here was looking at cost and going, what's the value per cost? And again, if I'm the patient, I'm like, screw the cost, just give me the best, give me whatever is the most indicated. But the idea that you could have an agent corralling decisions in a certain direction based on a balance between value and cost is really interesting, particularly if you get out of the medical context where maybe you don't care and into a business context where this is maybe a huge factor in what you want to do. And the fact that they could actually reduce cost by having an agent whose job was be the cost conscious, be the penny pincher in here, making sure we're looking for value. It was really interesting and maybe something we'll see more people doing in the business context.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic use case for business context to have somebody just running alongside you with a
Yeah.
little ledger. So
Ledger and value eyes.
that's right.